tone of the film is a bit more subdued, if you can believe it. The book was, has this wonderful, bizarre
period. You know, when we were doing Gilbert Grape, I was, for some reason, and I don't know if it was coincidental that I was going through this sort of emotional turmoil at the time, or if it was something that maybe on some weird level I'd done to myself, you know, subconsciously, because that was what was required. But anyway, I was kind of miserable at the time, and it was pretty plain to see, you know. Asa could see it, other people could see it.
Johnny Depp, I think, is very close to this character. He's lived a little bit of the life of this man, a small town boy who's kind of stuck in that small town and stuck within the family. And I think he knew all too well what kind of frustration that can create.
There was a residue, you know, that was sort of left over that from my childhood that I connected to, and you know, with that character and with those people in the book, and felt like it was something I could bring something to the, you know, to the party. You know what I mean? I felt like I could add some.
Do it. I was reading it and I was like, there's no way I can pull this off. But I just tried to remain true to the character and not try to shy away from it, like deal with it head on and not like do things to cover it up. And I just tried to, you know, make sure that it was real. Well, if I was sitting there, I'm thinking swinging my feet and licking the lollipop.
Just his gaze, he seemed to have entered the mind of a 5-year-old. He could switch on and off so easily, and all imprisoned in that body. And I saw photos of her as a young kid and as a teenager. It felt like that body was sort of imprisoning her.
Darlene Cates is an angel. She's truly an angel, you know. She was one of the most brave human beings that I've ever come into contact with, you know. She was so brave to go in and do that film. And
I've heard from so many fans that just go crazy over the fact, album, you know, you have to realize that when Leo was hanging on me, he was a very dirty, greasy little boy that I really didn't want to touch. He had all this dirt and stuff over it. Ooh. It was just, ooh.
she was amazing. Great woman. Great woman. We spent a lot of time together. Have a lot of great memories of hanging out with Darlene and her family, and very special. I truly love Darlene. She's a great woman.
The truth is, the characters in Gilbert Grape were created mostly in my imagination, and then we got to make the movie, and that imagination was in many cases transcended by the reality. You know, to have that cast manifest what I had imagined was a surreal and quite terrific experience.
Tell me what you want as fast as it comes to you.
I want a house. I want a new house.
Well, you have a serious foundation problem.
We can go anywhere. If we want, we can go anywhere. Endora. Describing Endora is like dancing to no music.
Gilbert Grape came to me in an entirely unexpected way. I was teaching theater at a summer program at Northwestern University. I had students in a playwriting class. I walked into my first class. A student said, "Mr. Hedges, what, if anything, have you written?" And I was taken aback.
So I picked it up and read it almost in one sitting, you know. And it felt like you were reading a sort of contemporary Catcher in the Rye, you know, in a lot of ways. It felt a lot like Holden Caulfield, Gilbert's voice.
As any book, when it's published, the question is it a movie? I thought that it might be a movie, but it would take a very particular person to make that film.
I was in Sweden wondering what to do next. I went back and forth between America and Sweden. I lived in Sweden at that time and was trying to find a project. And I had a letter from a Swedish director. He had just read Gilbert Grape and was translating it to Swedish. And he said, "You have to make a film out of this one. It's amazing." So I went to buy the book, and I think he was right, my Swedish friend.
He read the book, and soon after he came to America, and we had lunch. What Lasse said in that first conversation was, I understand you have not written a screenplay, but when I read the book, it seems to me that you might be able to write a pretty good screenplay.
I really trusted him, and I think he was very open-minded, and we worked together on the script through the course of a half a year or something.
Well, the collaboration was that basically trying to figure out what in this story we hadn't seen before, what felt fresh. We just kept trying to refine what seemed special.
I love stories that are driven by characters and have an interest in relations, and the story had all that.
Well, and then of course Johnny Depp, in the middle of all this, had read the novel and wanted to make a movie with Lasse, but those two truths prompted him to say, "I'll do this movie," even though there's no script.
Lasse came to me, and asked me if I'd be interested in playing Gilbert, and they said there was no script or whatever. And I said, "Well, I've read the book and love the book," and I said I would be ecstatic, to play Gilbert, and whenever they got a script, just bring it by,
I wanted to tell a story about someone who felt trapped, that would be easy to understand, but maybe hard to handle.
I committed to the film based on the book, which was, not the wrong thing to do, It was the right thing to do.
And before we knew it, we were in pre-production. So it happened very quickly.
It was the fact that I was able to work with my idol when it comes to photography, Sven Nykvist, who's done most of Ingmar Bergman's movies back in Sweden. And he's a master with light, and he's so simple with his lighting technique. He actually he came to America and revolutionized lighting, and I think he's influenced modern American DPs.
I Say Goodbye to Johnny Depp is one of my favorite scenes in the film, and it's actually one of my favorite scenes I've ever done, because my character is saying goodbye to what she knows of as love. She's also saying goodbye to her youth and to a time that can never, in many ways, come back for her. And in this little kind of sad relationship with the guy who delivers her groceries, it's as close to love.
My favorite scenes in Gilbert Grape is when Mama's sitting on the bed and Gilbert's kneeling in front of her. And Mama looks at Gilbert and says, "I never meant to be like this. I never wanted to be a joke." I had said those same words to my children, to my own children at different times. I had said, I had apologized for anything I had put them through. Oh, Gilbert, please don't disappear. Please don't disappear.
One of the lines that turned out real nice that I've gotten comments on was when Becky meets the mother for the first time and she says, "I wasn't always like this." It's very, very awkward, and I came up with, "I haven't always been like this."
With a lot of fear. And ultimately we ended up with a movie that we love.